Ducati there, talking about the problems that Ducati have had. Let's see what they can do then. This is the San Marino. Here's Neil Hodgson and Keith Hewen.
Thank you, Susie. As we look across to the pole position then, it's Motogp pole for him then. And we'll wait and see. Of course, you've got to remember he was Moto3 world champion back in 2013. Also equals his personal Moto Grand Prix best, of course. A 28-year-old then, right in the middle of the front row. MotoGP, second in Catalonia, third in Assen and Red Bull Ring. Can he make it pretty fast, I've got to say, throughout the weekend. But third row of the grid, will that work for him? Bill, for him, it hasn't worked this weekend. Only 2 podiums in 2019 at the back. That's how they line up then. Never been a French winner, I wonder, from here. It's truly remarkable that he is a rookie and he's been doing the kind of what nearly ended up with their first ever pole position. It was so close. Pol Espargaro really popped that time in and took that top spot. Franco Morbidelli looking to try and do something a little special here. Giacomo Agostini, all the classes, including the small classes, of course. Marquez, track temperature, that actually works out very, very favourably with their data, because virtually is not unknown territory. All the data and tyre choices they will have made will be based on used flares, especially during the race, of course, as it blows across the track like that. No one wants a driveway behind the grandstand, so they couldn't move anything out of the way, and that's why we go the opposite way round to how we used to, unfortunately, with a 10-foot concrete wall to your right-hand side, as was, and no runoff. So if you fell down, it was quite difficult under the sun. It's pretty warm, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hot. We couldn't see the monitors, and I think the sun was breaking in and out. There are a lot of crossing lines.
27 laps then, 70.9 miles. It's MotoGP. It's a Vinales. Well, I say, of course, that's the first time he's got a good start, I think, since I've been watching him in MotoGP. Place, it's the 2 Petronas boys that are sitting up behind him. 20 of Quartararo, 21 of Morbidelli. Then it's
watching Dobby trying to go up the inside of Valentino Rossi, and there was no room.
What a start though for Vinales.
Normally, and he's not aggressive on the first lap. Out front, he doesn't need to be aggressive. All he's going to do now is...
He hasn't had a win yet. Will he get one? He will be the second youngest man to ever do it. If he does, Marquez the only man. Maverick Vinales, that's really, and already they're out in the green stuff, and we know that race direction and look at me gained of an advantage by using them, and so therefore they're red hot on serving up penalties. Talking of penalty, 5 started a row further back than he'd actually qualified in, so he came off of row 4. Over the line for the first 7 laps around here. You just think, when is it going to end?
And no long straights where you can relax, take a bit of a breath, and then you're into one of the fastest, scariest corners of the year. So, yeah, it's a physical old place.
The field have gone from medium front, medium rear. There are some exceptions where some people, like Jorge Lorenzo, have gone soft and...
He's gone for the softer soft. Been struggling again this weekend. Qualified 18th. Sort of nothing to lose. Probably worth a bit of a gamble
for Jorge Lorenzo, and wish him back to the kind of form that we know he's capable of doing on the other Repsol Honda. But right now, in this championship, Marc Marquez could take 3 weekends off, and Dobby would have to win every single one of them, and he'd still be 3 points behind. The maturity to be able to take it to Vinales. You said it a moment ago, Vinales has great lace. Tyres are going to start to give it up late on in this race. Has Quartararo got the maturity to make that M1 young?
Race pace, I've looked at all the timesheets. Quartararo's probably got a 10th, maybe 2 on everybody.
And the great thing is, he's up against the Yamaha. Great thing for him, he's up against another Yamaha that performs relatively, and they can always get up the inside and mess a Yamaha up where it's best at.
Exactly, stop the flow, the natural turning corners. That's why it seems to be working a bit more for Yamaha this weekend.
No fairy tale for Valentino Rossi at the moment. Going to wait? Surely not. It's going to be Cavone. Oh dear me, no. Hold your breath and stuff either. So he's not taking track limits liberties. Wow, Fabio Quartararo's got the armoury to take it to everyone else, and he knows that Marquez is behind. He does not want to get tangled with him.
And bear in mind that gap was starting to come down. So at that point, Quartararo had no choice. He has out of you.
I love the fact that the panic has now changed. The panic is now all Marquez's. He's just seen as fast as he can to chase Quartararo up the road. And if Quartararo gets into a rhythm,
well, he's all right. Look at that.
He'll be gone.
Marquez
He's really looking now to try and deal with Maverick Vinales. Vinales is going to have to really find a little bit...
Wait for 1 or 2 laps. Is he going to do it here? Is he going to let the brake off? He is!
Yes.
Of course he is!
And pushes Maverick. So 93 has gone through, and he knew he had to do it because that Honda is a difficult motorbike around. Struggled like mad.
And that's a sort of corner. That's the advantage of the Honda. So he does a block pass. He has no run on.
He's been having a great free practice and qualifying. I've got to say, on the other LCR bike, Cal Crutzo's on the full factory one. Over the line we go then. 23 laps to go. Quartararo leads. Marc Marquez in second place. They're doing 33.4. At least he's perfectly okay.
How many crashes have we seen on this corner this weekend? There must have been 20. Horrible, Keith. It's never a grippy track anyway, but they've destroyed it, haven't they, by doing this shot.
That's some unceremonious...
yeah, thankfully he lost the front,
yeah.
So he'll take that.
Yeah, that's a nice little slump.
Maverick Vinales.
Already on an equal bike.
Yeah, coming up for 2 laps now.
Oh, Yadaka is at trackside.
Well,
he was with Carmelo Espeleta.
Well,
you imagine what they're thinking about.
I was just about to say, maybe they hear Yamaha. I'd want his name on it. Because who's going to beat Marc Marquez in the future in these championships? Dovizioso, is he going to beat him head-to-head in the championship? I can't see it. What about Maverick? I'm going to say no.
Can ride a bike, but it is Marc Marquez that's closed him down. It's .533 now over the line as we look back towards Rossi. Will do it. It's going to cost him dear as well because he's lost momentum, so Rossi will go by as well, you would expect at that. Marc Marquez down here is Andrea Dovizioso, 32.6, underlining what you just said. I know they've still got a full fuel load on at the moment, but Gates, the power advantage, you can't get on the throttle, you can't tap the throttle in because you've got no grip to push you forward on the...
Yeah, do you say it's negated their strength? Hasn't it? Completely. That's what they rely on. They don't need to carry corners right now. They stand it up and he just sits there spinning.
We are looking at the cream of MotoGP. It is him again. He's only ever won 1 Grand Prix. Fabio Quartararo.
Wow.
And that for him a moment ago, the CEO over at Sepang International Circuit, running the team, the Petronas team, and it is Fabio.
But then something to do with some technical issue on his motorcycle.
At the end of the day, it was in wrong oil.
And just think of the opposite, right? So you've got Marc Marquez, he starts his MotoGP career in 2013.
Forcing it up the inside of Vinales, that's what we saw earlier on. Vinales really... Going to be interesting to see if he's letting them get away, and even if he has got late race pace, I'm sure it won't be that much that he'll be able to close these two down in the later.
Actually, it was slightly wide there, Fabio. We've said in commentary, Keith, for the last 3 rounds, if you let how far everybody is back, what he's essentially done is stretched the whole field because he's able to run the Yamaha with all the new trick bits.
Well, it could have been, and it should have been, as Valentino sticks it under the KTM. Honda would not be anywhere near this.
Well, yeah, Cal's 11th. The next Yamaha.
And we know Cal is not.
What I've got a feeling though with Marquez, and he's on him now, what he's going to do to disturb Fabio's flow, his rhythm.
Well, he practiced it with the Yamaha yesterday. Rossi is way down in 5th place. He just got in front of Paul Espargaro a moment ago. You saw that screen as well. You know he's going to make that pass. You know he's going to force it under Quartararo. It's all as the young gun on this racetrack. 26-year-old Marquez chases 20-year-old Frenchman Fabio Quartararo. Everyone scratched their heads and thought, what are they doing giving him the ride? Why has he got this factory Yamaha ride? Even though...
No, actually, there were quite a few people saying, I think that's a smart signing. Everyone used Sportra in this paddock.
Whether it was the only deal they could do, and they took a punt on Fabio Quartararo,
that's what they
have, and it worked.
Ex-Moto2 world champion. He was the guy who'd already done a year in MotoGP, and it was almost like he could.
Andrea Dovizioso on the 04 Ducati, the factory Ducati, in front of Rins, but struggling to get past Paul, and that's what it's about. That's why Valentino Rossi is still doing this job at 40 years old. He loves the atmosphere. As Dobby struggles, remember, he was taken out by Quartararo. Oliveira's gone down. He was
shouting at me because I interviewed him on the grid. I do seem to have a little bit of a curse. At least Stoker talked to me.
I'm surprised.
Now. A few weeks ago. Years, I mean.
Quartararo out front. Marquez second place. Maverick Morbidelli, teammate, of course, and the race leader at the moment. Then we look back towards Rossi and Espargaro. And once again, we're seeing that the Ducati is negated. Oh, good move from Andrea. On the flip-flop. Oh, look at this. He's got Espargaro. I don't know what Paul Espargaro's expectations were out of this race, but it has been a brilliant... While this battle goes on for 6, 7, 8... Dobby Warning, Dovizioso, you can never discount him, but they're too far up the road, really, for him to be playing with these guys. Dovizioso's just trying to pass Quartararo, to deny Quartararo. He can afford to try something just a little next week. We talked a minute ago about him taking 3 weekends off. Well, if he crashes and hurts himself, he could visibly.
The last thing he wants, and he knows what I said earlier, he knows that he wants is to give him the confidence, because you know, Keith, as an ex-racer, once you get that first win.
The other Petronas bike in front of the other factory Yamaha. That's what we're seeing, a bit of a pattern here. People are. There's a question that is so sensitive you can barely ask it.
Because at the moment, Factory,
brilliant.
Well, it's the truth, isn't it? You know,
the truth hurts.
The truth hurts.
Sure that there's going to be some talk going on. Meanwhile, there's going to be some talk going on in a minute. There's going to be some shouting and just puts Marc at a bit of disadvantage through Cavone then. That's a good 145 mile an hour at the A, back some more for 13 and back to bottom gear for 14. This one, the hairpin. Then we have still got 16 laps to go in this race when they cross the line next time. That says it.
They were pulling away every lap. It's just sort of stabilised a little bit now.
Which is what we expect from Vignales. Signing, no doubt about it. They took a punt on Quartararo, but how those roles have changed. The 21 of Morbidelli, to give it its full handle, the Grand Prix of San Marino and Rimini Riviera. And we are right on
real lap, and he's been mugged, proper mugged on the last lap. Now he's in a completely different, at this point in the race.
Different racetrack, completely different racetrack. The two he's been mugged at, he's lost grip at the rear end, and Silverstone, fast corners, and the Honda just lets go when he's asking for the power.
Look how much he loses through the fast section. And he was angry about that when he was talking to me. You could tell he was angry.
Well, in the car on the way to the press conference when they played it out, they had some victims this weekend, doesn't it? So, Marc Marquez, getting back to what you get him, turns 1 and 2. I reckon through turns 1 and 2 on the flip-flop, he's going to try and force it by.
Dino Rossi, grandson, so he'd like to do it there. He's got to do it to almost move Fabio off the line.
So he loses 2.6 seconds away from the rear end of Marquez.
But what I'm questioning is if he goes...
That's what Marc Marquez has learned this year. He's prepared to follow people. He's prepared to learn, even in qualifying in free practice. The line there. This is the Suzuki of Rins. Marquez was properly... that wasn't one of his shots. Make his way back through then, through turn 1, onto turn 2 now. Tricky set of corners that is. Here we go again. He takes such a lot out of the rider in front.
And such a massive risk around this corner to try and in the front, lock in the front, saving those slides. We've seen him this weekend, haven't we?
Let me talk you back to free practice 1. All at sea. That bike looked worse than it does now by a long way. They've done wonders with the Honda to get it hooked up so Marquez can be in a...
Free practice 1. Who was the fastest? From lap 1, standout was Fabio Quartararo, and we talked about it
all the time back in the Petronas team, don't they? It's a couple of clicks here, a couple of clicks there. They come here with a bike that's got...
Not constantly changing your motorcycle. You want it, so we use the term, so you're ahead of the motorcycle. Big changes. The bike will react different every time. So,
and getting back to what you said earlier on about biggest benefit that president has, because Quartararo loves the bike, I can't see him wanting to risk his factory that's backing you up on a bike you like already. Do you imagine the advantage Quartararo could have?
If 50 years old, he shouldn't even be thinking about money. You know, he won't be. He won't be. If you as his manager, you have talked about it before, his stock value is through the roof. And who knows, everyone's out of contract next year. I'm sure there's Ducatis potentially, you know, making massive offers, as we've seen them do in the past. I'd be going as you can, but that's not the main aim.
Big bonuses, that's what you want. So Maverick Viñales is 2.4 seconds further back in third, so I think he's closed it down a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be Spargo on the KTM. Having a great ride here on the 44 bike, up behind the 42 of Rins, and of course from injury. Then it's the wild card, Michele Pirro on the Ducati in front of Danilo Petrucci, the full factory bike. He's 14th at the moment, and Aleix Spargo is holding on the Aprilia to the final point in this race. He's just placing himself. I don't think Marc Marquez has any intention of making a pass, showing up.
But what might change that is Viñales is on his way. He's just set his fastest lap. The gap now between Maverick Viñales and Marc Marquez is down to 2.2. There he is on the blue bike.
Oh, Suzuki down. Wow.
Is it Rins?
That's the question.
It is?
It is Rins.
Wow.
So Alex Rins had just been given the long lap penalty for exceeding track limits. He's given it, so he's got to do it, but at the end of the day, he's got to get his bike started first, and I think we might find him coming down pit lane.
But unfortunately lost any real consistency.
He's not made the progress this weekend that he normally makes. This weekend have not kind of been able to make it work, so Let's have a listen. Let's have a watch. Turn 4, we've seen
Turn
so
4.
much of it this weekend.
Trail braking, you've still got a lot of front brake on at that point. I think it was just before it's coming.
10.5 laps to go. That's going to be the big question. It's down at 2.1. Last time around it was 2.5 Vinales. I asked a question early on. Was it too far back? He'd let them get too far away. I think the big question here, exactly where Marquez is he just keeping rhythm at the pace he's prepared to keep at, to keep his tyres in and fight Morbidelli?
I'm back for a minute. I wonder if they're giving Quartararo on his pit board. They sometimes do that.
They will, and he will have on his dashboard exactly his time, what he's capable of increasing that pace, should he have to, very soon. 10 and a bit laps left to go. Lead, because closing down, it says it all there. 2.7, 2.4, 2.2, 2.1 mile. Misano Grand Prix, the San Marino Grand Prix here, only makes it stick on Morbidelli. This was the pass, and silly boys. It's almost handbags, wasn't it, between the two of them in different parts of the racetrack. But then he versus another Yamaha rider, and it's a 20-year-old Frenchman. Never been a Frenchman, actually, in the modern era.
Yeah, look at very consistent laps, but he needs to find...
I think Quartararo has got a little more pace.
Yeah, he looks smooth.
He looks smooth.
He actually looked a little bit... It was almost like Marc Marquez. You know, he's always smooth, is Fabio.
1.9 it was down to at the line last time from Maverick Vinales up to Marc Marquez. Marc is prepared to pass Quartararo. Now he knows Vinales is coming. This might force Marc Marquez's hand. That'll do.
9 laps to go. Ooh. And these are the hardest 9 laps.
That's come into their own domain, isn't it? This is where you're prepared to just push, keep pushing, despite the fact you're 6-year-old versus the 20-year-old Fabio Quartararo, who would become the second youngest ever. Can't discount Vinales now. It was down to 1.9 at the line last time around, and 6 times a winner. Still looking for a win here. 4 ones.
Yeah, he has literally, it's the last 5 laps, he's been faster every lap.
But he will
pass them as well. Yeah.
Passing one of them will be hard enough. Passing both of them in this determined mode. I could nearly say it. Rimini Riviera, thank you very much. They are part sponsors of this. After this, a lot of the hotels, a lot of the eating houses and the like take the winter off.
Corner. We just saw in the previous race, in the Moto2 race, pretty much something similar. Right at the end, I was thinking, I'm
100%.
I'm just going to wait, because out and out speed, I think we both agree, Fabio Marquez in that situation.
Mark's your man, that's for sure. And you're right, turn 14 into that hairpin. It's going to put 45 mile an hour out towards the curbs, down the gearbox. It's where the 34-0, 34-1 from Vinales last time around. Both Quartararo and Marc Marquez were menacingly right on the tail now. There it goes up to 2.1, back to Vinales. So Marquez is aware here. Quartararo, despite all of this pressure at 20 years old in his rookie year on a MotoGP bike, has not...
0 Marquez, +0 Marquez, or plus 0.1. The anxiety as it slowly builds to go. You know, I mean, Fabio Quartararo has watched Marc Marquez all through his career. He knows it's coming. So you're constantly, with your peripheral vision, looking to the inside. Is he sticking a wheel in there?
He's keeping his line, he's hitting his marks all the time, Quartararo. This is Cal Crutchlow on the Castrol Honda. It is the LCR. Well, Michael Laverty spotted it earlier on in the week. The top triple clamp has been raised right up. The handlebars have been raised after those adjustments.
Different rider, been inside the top 12 pretty much every session. Comfortable. Unfortunately for him, he had a crash in the warm-up, so don't know if that set him back ever so slightly.
Tito Rabat, Carol Abraham and Takaki Nakagami is back round circulating, even though he's been down on the... It's all about the front two. I'm sure of that now.
Well, that's rare. Test rider
on a lot of laps, he's back on it again.
I think that sums up how slippy this track is.
Yeah. Look at this. Look at this tarmac. You know the pass is coming. Where will it be? And will it be Vinales? Rossi in 4th place. Morbidelli 5th now. Andrea Dovizioso languishing place this year so far. He's not going to equal that, but it's been a great weekend for KTM and for Paul Espargaro. His stop.
I don't want to risk anything.
No, you're trying to put a hook through my top lip.
I don't want to risk too much. I'll take second.
That's why
not a chance. Not a chance.
Colin Evans nearly choked on his food next to us here.
We saw his face after both those defeats.
Like a slapped child.
He was not happy at all.
Throughout, right to the shoulder. of Quartararo, the genial Frenchman, as to induce that from Marquez than perhaps the Yamaha is from Quartararo, but Quartararo's going to need that front.
Oh,
look, close. He runs in on the trail braking, runs in by trail brake. Marquez running in. They all do it, but Marquez manages to just leave that brake on, leave it later and later and later. And he should have no fingers left down to his first knuckle.
No fingers. I'd love to see the heart rates of the riders now.
I'd like to see the heart rates of the team.
Can you imagine?
Oh, when's it coming? Marquez is right there. It's not soon. That was the typical Quartararo, that into turn. And that's the kind of thing where the Honda is very, very good on the brakes with Marquez on it anyway. Building. Off to the right somewhere will be Cal Crutchlow.
I just hope it's clean.
It won't be.
As we've seen all weekend,
they've all been tight.
There's been a lot of contact. It's so tight, it's so one line, this track.
You will agree, but really, if you haven't got the hairs on end, you're dead. Fantastic. Get some positivity in there, Marquez, as we come to the final, and almost breaking at the same point. The only question mark I would put there is that Marc might just be taking it a little easier. Good to see you here. Giacomo Agostini's still one of the most revered, great Valentino Rossi. 2.5 laps to go. The build-up is coming soon. Will it be there the next time around? Or will he leave it right to the death, to the last? On the Adriatic coast, Marquez looking at every part of the track, squaring it off as he has to do with this motorcycle. But look at that. Marquez through that fast stuff just is a little bit more reticent on the front end going in there.
Yeah, and close in.
Yeah, this will be where he tries for it.
And the Honda turns on the slower corners, but not on the faster stuff. And Viñales, I mean, he's closed the gap. It's down to 1.5, but it's going to be too little, too
late at the time. Maverick Viñales might be well placed to pick up the pieces, but we'll wait and see as we get to that. 2 laps to go. This is as he has done right from the start.
And if you're a French fan now, talk about you're on the edge of your spine.
But there's been no French winner in the Premier class here at Misano ever. Quartararo will be the first. Marquez closes it right the way down on the way in on the brakes, as you might expect. It's got to be a last lap.
Where he mugged Viñales early on in the race. 1.5 laps to go.
Wait on the front and make that Honda stick. Runs out to the green.
Let's not forget, Marquez has all the information. Marquez, all he knows is, like we've said, it's incoming.
Here we go then. This is building for it. The San Marino Grand Prix. Who's going to win? Is it going to be Fabio Quartararo? Is it going to be stick? Quartararo, this is not his best part of the track. We're coming to that, but will he be brave enough to make the moves? He does get underneath Marquez. That is superb. Can he pull it to the apex? Will Marquez snap back at him? 2 more places where Marquez can make that work. He's going for it. Up underneath him into the braking area. See if he ran wide. He didn't run wide. Marquez has stayed on line. Now we are into the really fast stuff here. But will he make it? Will it be Quartararo at turn 14 that rams it under Marquez and takes... But he can't make a pass here. It's too close. He's had to sit up. The wind has got to him as well. That's the problem just there. Marquez had covered him off, and that's why he didn't leave a gap. Marc Marquez has outthought Fabio Quartararo. Does it again. He comes to the line. Marquez on the Honda has beaten Fabio Quartararo and Maverick Marquez. The Magnificent. Here's Rossi over the line for 4th place, gets in front of Morbidelli, and KTM were waiting. There he is. Wow, great race. And I think they can without speaking it, because he sat behind him throughout the entire race because he was too scared to pass.
He had to do what Valentino Rossi did in qualifying into 14, into this corner. It
got him covered.
But unfortunately, if you want to beat number 93, that's what you've got to do, because he will do it.
Ever MotoGP race, but as we keep saying here on BT Sport, it is definitely coming. But out of advantage, done it again. He extends his championship lead over Dovizioso by a massive amount.
47 seconds behind.
So 7 wins now for Marc Marquez, but that for me was the biggest compliment he could have paid Fabio Quartararo.
It's a massive day in his career, but it was a day at school for Quartararo. He'll watch this race back. He'll know the misstances.
What else could he have done once Maverick had once Marc had...
No, I'm sat here in the commentary box, and we both know it's easier said than done, because what Marquez did, opportunity.
Yeah.
And this is it. This is the section now. At this point,
it just wasn't. Marc had got him shut down. He got the Honda. He did what the Honda does: stopped it in the middle of the corner. Got it on its fat bit. But I tell you what, it wasn't a loss.
No,
it was a great ride. This kid is the real deal.
He really is. Again, 4.
Well, this man might not be the most popular around here due to the mass of balance. World champion again this year. We're going to level 8. Who goes to the podium in 3rd? But it's amazing that Razlan Rizali's crew only formed, taken it to the. He's the only man who's taken it to Marc Marquez.
Just looking at the championship positions now, and wow,
we've got Aragon next weekend, Thailand, Japan, Australia, Malaysia, and barring an absolute disaster of some kind that befalls Marc Marquez. We like to say on television, because obviously we like your company and hopefully you watch it, got one hand on this trophy now, and after a ride like that round here, after Yamaha looked like they were going to be able to dominate it.
Oh, the flowing nature of that track with all the faster corners.
That's what it means. That's what it means.
That celebration is also magnified because of the last 2 rounds.
Getting on us here probably did, and we talked about it. He had to negate the advantage of the Yamaha by being in.
That's why he passed him early.
Marquez, we'll see him on the podium in a little while, along with Quattro place. Cal Crutchlow was out, Michele Pirro out, Alex Rins crashed out as well, as did, because he fell, looked remounted.
I love all this. Love all this. Massive respect. That won't last long here, where they might not be quite as pally.
Well, it was clean. Alex Briggs then. It was a good ride. It's like I said, a good ride, but no cigar. I mean, he just about beat.
It was about 0.3, 0.4 of a second slower than Fabio, so that was all he had.
Honda has just that little bit more horsepower, that little bit more sparkle about it once it's challenged. Yeah, that's how we all felt at the time.
The problem is what we've talked about all year. Then on the next straight, can get it stopped and doesn't go wide. And that's where Yamaha need to improve their motorcycle. They need more horsepower.
For Quartararo, he knew that if he blocked off the apex, that there was no way Quartararo could get through the race in the first pass when Quartararo couldn't get back under him. But it was good thinking by him. It was impossible to Quartararo. When you mug someone on the very last lap, there's no comeback. We've all had it. We've all, a racer has been through the same thing. Here's your 3rd place man with Simon Crapart.
Race-winning pace early on.
The feeling was not really good. I lose the front many times in the track, so I decided to don't push, take points. But at the end, you know, this is the position. We are taking consistency. This is the important. We're gonna understand this race and improve.
So Parc Ferme, as we look
to the early laps, he gets a hole shot, he leads, and then what it is, Keith, I looked at the lap times once he's getting past, and then his next 2 or 3 laps, he's losing half a second a lap. Then he regroups and then his pace is incredible.